Okay, so in this video we're going to be setting up a connection using the Claude Code to be able to pull in our meetings from Granola using the MCP. So notably, Granola actually has an MCP documentation right on their website. So it seems pretty easy to set up. If you just go to the documentation settings here, you can see in the help center it says Granola MCP, and it's got a whole setup guide. So as usual, what I like to do is I like to just ask Claude to help me set this up. Right, so I'm just going to copy this whole link here, and you can see in Claude I've written down, using the MCP skill builder, help me build a connection to Granola. I have a Granola account already. According to the documentation of the Granola website, you can do it with this command. Right, so I just linked in the command that they said on the website. But most of all, just follow the guide as you see fit. So it's now running the command, and it says it's done. So I just need to restart Claude Code and it'll pick up the new server. So let's test this out. So I'm going to close Claude. I'm then going to open Claude again. I'm going to find that conversation, and I'm just going to whisper flow. I have done this now. And then it says the Granola MCP tools are not showing up yet, so there's probably 2 other steps that it needs to take. So let me just check this, what it says. So run MCP, select the Granola MCP, and then select Authenticate. Okay, fine. But it says do this within the terminal actually, so let me just do that. So I've got to open up the terminal. So I hit Control and the little dash, or the little hyphen icon, and then I'm going to write Claude dangerously skip permissions. So I do this to avoid always clicking on consent and everything like that. And then here I'm going to write down /MCP, see the different MCP servers, and then it says look for Granola. It says failed authentication, so I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click authenticate. It says a browser window will now open for authentication. So I'm going to click on my email. Then I'm going to click allow access. Authentication is successful. You can close this window, return to Claude Code. Okay, so I'm going to open Claude again. Now authentication is successful. Okay, so I'm going to write now here in the actual Claude prompt. I've now just authenticated the MCP. It says authentication successful. Can you test out the connection again? Yeah, fresh session to be loaded. Okay, cool. So just do exit and relaunch, or close and reopen. Let me close and reopen. So I'm going to close this, then again I'm going to write Claude, so it reopens Claude. And let me start a new session. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pull in a previous meeting, right? So using Granola MCP server, can you pull in the recent UK OKR meeting notes? Yeah, okay, cool. So it's found the meeting. So the connection is working, which is really good. So obviously I'm going to blur out all of these OKR meeting notes for now, but I guess the biggest thing is that, the connection now works, which is fantastic. Right, so let me just finally go back to the previous MCP conversation I was having. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that we've logged this new connection in our connections.md file. So personally, I maintain a file within my vault, which is just called connections.md, and it lists out all of my different MCP servers that I'm connected to. So that's like Gmail, Google Calendar, etc. Right? So you can see here it is. I've got like the different details of all the connections that I have. Right? So this is kind of like a source of truth. So whenever Claude looks for connections like MCP servers, or if I say find my events, it's going to look at the connections.md file. They're going to read this and then see exactly like, okay, so I use this connection for this tool, right? So within the Claude, what I'm going to say is make sure that you denote that we are using the MCP server for Granola, and put this also in the connections.md file that we have to ensure that it is logged for the future. And that is all done. We now have Granola integrated with our Claude Code. If you like more tutorials like this, feel free to subscribe. I'll be doing more practical workflows using Claude for operators and people in business alike. Cheers.